Okay, so yes, we've started the recording. Okay.
All right, awesome. So hello and thank you for joining us today as we present on alternatives to generative AI for library research. My name is Samantha Duncan.
My name is Allison Faix, and we're both from Coastal Carolina University in South Carolina. Sorry.
And so just the outline for the presentation, we're going to provide you with some definitions. We know artificial intelligence and Gen AI has been in the news a lot lately, but we wanted to start with that. We're going to tell you why we're here presenting this. And then we're going to talk about 3 research assistant AIs: Consensus, Research Rabbit, Scite. Then we'll talk about some pros and cons. We'll do a quick demo of Consensus, Research Rabbit, and Scite. We'll then also talk about the library databases AI, JSTOR AI, Scopus AI, and then if we have time left for a Q&A.
Okay, so we did want to start with just some quick definitions. The research assistant AIs that we're going to be talking about today, they're like the AI applications that focus more on helping researchers locate articles, analyze articles, sometimes visualize the connections between articles. So they're tools that are more focused on synthesis than creation. And generative AI is focused more on generating textual information. We do feel like this line is starting to blur a little bit as these research assistant AI tools have started to use some generative AI a little bit too. So I think it's good to start with a definition. And then we wanted to talk a little bit about why we are presenting on this. I think like most people, when ChatGPT started to get really big, as librarians, we had lots of questions from faculty, especially about the fake sources that it was generating. And we wanted to explore the benefits of AI for researchers, like how AI tools could help students and faculty do library research.
And so what is this? So this is a picture of a poster presentation that Allison and I did last year, May of 2023. So right now this is hanging in Allison's office, and there are sticky notes on there. And what those sticky notes are changes that have been happening, and it hasn't even been a year yet. And we'll just give you 2 examples. Elicit, which we were demoing last May. It was free. It is no longer free. It's commercial, and there's not a library subscription for that. And also last year, we couldn't find any research assistant AIs for humanity. So we were quite disappointed, but lo and behold, now there is JSTOR AI beta. So that's why we wanted to show you this, this picture here.
Yeah, and it feels like it's just changing really fast, and it's been hard for us to keep up with it. And so we started to like notice some trends. So even like I think I mentioned earlier, even when these research assistant AIs started out without incorporating a lot of generative elements, that does seem to be a trend that we're seeing, is that they're starting to add them in. More of them are starting to offer enterprise or library subscriptions than there used to be. And even the ones that haven't changed that dramatically in a year have improved in a year. So it is definitely a very fast changing world that we're trying to keep up in. So we have 3 different ones that we wanted to talk with you about. And these are things that we have like shared with students and with faculty and have been exploring the use of. One is Consensus Research Assistant AI. So this one has a free version and a paid version, but you can do a lot of things in the free version. It was created to quickly help researchers find claims in scholarly literature, help them answer what scholarship says about their research questions. The corpus it's using is Semantic Scholar, which is an earlier AI-based research tool. And it's good to know that most of the articles it's pulling from are in the sciences or social sciences. It will find papers based on your research question. It will tag articles that it thinks are from highly cited journals or rigorous journals. And it does like a little visual trick where it shows you a consensus meter that sort of summarizes the answer to your question in a visual way. If you ask a yes or no question, and you can create an account at consensus.app/search.
So the next one is Research Rabbit. So this is a literature mapping tool with interactive visualizations. It is pulling from PubMed and Semantic Scholar. When you begin adding papers, you'll begin to discover other networks, and Research Rabbit learns from your collection and improves its recommendations. So during the demo, you'll see that Research Rabbit has columns or panels that represent some search or browse action, such as looking at all references of one paper or looking at all the publications of a certain author, avoiding the constant switching between different modes of searching and browsing, which is one challenge of doing literature reviews. And then you can also create an account at researchrabbit.ai. And the third tool we'll be looking at is Scite. So it helps with the discovery and understanding of research articles through smart citations. So smart citations allows the user to see how a paper has been cited by providing the context of the citation and describing whether the article provides supporting or contrasting evidence. There's also a feature in there called Assistant by Scite, which assists in finding reliable information from research articles. So users can input simple questions or prompts similar to ChatGPT to search for relevant sources to expand their research. It was acquired in 2023 by Research Solutions. And the reason why we want to point that out is because we think that these larger publisher companies, if they don't have time or they don't have the expertise to do a really good job at creating AI tools, they'll probably go out and acquire these other smaller companies that have done a really great job. So our university purchased a subscription just in January 2023. So just as a disclaimer for everyone, we are still learning the tool. Like, we are all learning together. We're not AI experts, but we're just putting that out there.
Okay, so before we jump into the demo, we did want to share some of the things like so far in our use of these and exploration of these that we have found like pros and cons. And I think some of the things we're most excited about that were positive are things like the interactive visualizations, the way that it can synthesize custom summaries. Some of them will help you identify really quickly what the methodology of an article was, and just to help researchers see the connection between articles and discover new networks of things. Some of the things that we're worried about or we don't like as much, the cons of these, as librarians, most of these, except the ones we subscribe to, we don't have a way to link to our own full text holdings in. And so we worry that students and faculty won't find things that we subscribe to, or that they'll be led to pages where they might have to pay for the articles when we actually still have them possibly, or could get them. We feel like a lot of these have a pretty steep learning curve. They work very differently from things people have searched before a lot of times. And most of them require you to create an account. Even the one that we just subscribed to, it very much confuses people because you can't just authenticate the way you normally do. You have to create a separate account, and that can be a barrier for using it. And I think the hardest thing is just that they change really fast. And especially if you're using the free versions, they might not remain free, which we don't love. We don't want to share things with our students and faculty that aren't accessible for them to use. Okay, so I think we'll jump into our demo. So I guess I'm gonna stop sharing so that Sam can share Research Rabbit.
Awesome. Thank you, Allison. All right. So Allison, can you give me a verbal cue, whether you can see that or not?
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So I've already logged in. This is Research Rabbit. When you come in, you come into a pretty blank canvas, which I kind of like. To my left, your right, you're going to see some collections that I've already created, but I'm going to start off with a new collection by just clicking new collection. Going to type in the name. So I'm going to do learning styles and college students. And so now I can begin adding papers. So I'm going to click on my collection, and then I can click on add papers. And then I can enter in title, DOI keywords. I'm going to stick with the same keywords that I used for my collection, just for demonstration purposes. So learning styles and college students. And I'm going to search. And so now I can select biomedical and life sciences or all subject areas. I'm just going to click all subject areas. And so now Research Rabbit is going to come up with some recommendations for me so I can scroll through these and then I can select a couple to add to my collection. So I'll just select a couple of them. You want to try and select newer and older articles in order to use all of the tools that are available. All right, so I've added a couple, so I'll just close out of there. And so here are the panels that I'm talking about, or columns that will start to populate when you start using Research Rabbit. So this panel here, column, is all those papers that I've just selected. If you were to select one, another panel is going to pop up. You'll see the author's name. You'll see a little abstract. And then if Research Rabbit has it available in PDF, obviously you can click PDF, or it might be grayed out if it doesn't have it available. But I'm going to close out of that so we can look at the other tools. And like it said, so you can see the earlier work and later work haven't been lit up because I clearly didn't select any later work, but that's okay. I will just click on similar work because it's going to be displayed the same. So I'll click on similar work. More panels or columns are going to pop up here in this column. Additional papers, similar papers to the papers that I had in the first column. And then here is that interactive visualization that I was talking about. So these nodes here, the green nodes are papers that I already have in my collection. The blue nodes are papers that I do not have in my collection. And again, if you can click on these nodes, and then this paper will come out with more detail. If I click out of this paper that I selected, so there's that network view that you can look at, the visualization, but also the timeline view. So again, the most recent paper is 2022, but then there are some papers before 2010. Other tools, you can look at your collections by authors, and then some other interesting features that I like about here. I like about Research Rabbit is that you can copy a shareable link. So if you're collaborating with a fellow researcher or your students, you can copy the link to this search that you've done. You can also subscribe to email updates, so you can be updated on any new papers that come into Research Rabbit surrounding the topic that you have selected. I know that was kind of quick, but for the purpose of this presentation, we want to make it quick. So I'm going to stop sharing Research Rabbit right now.
Okay, great. And I think next we are going to look at consensus. So I'm going to share that. And see. Oops. Actually got it over in this tab. Sam, can you see this?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So this is consensus, and you can kind of see from their homepage, they have like this little how to search. They really want you to ask more of like a yes or no question, and they like some other questions will work okay as well. But I think I'll ask a similar question to Sam. So I'll do do learning styles affect academic success in college? And since this is a yes or no question, hopefully it will show us all the features that I'm hoping to point out to you, which are pretty interesting. Yeah, so it does bring up the consensus meter. So you can see right here, it's interesting because it will look at a lot of papers, but it's only going to bring back a limited amount for you to look at. So it's telling us it used 16 papers to come up with this little graph, and most of them would say yes to my question, but a number say no, not any say possibly, I guess. And I really do like that they have this little warning that tells you like, hey, this is generative AI created, so you should read the papers and make sure that you really do think that they either support or don't support what you're looking for. And then they do this little summary, and it tells you how many papers it used to create the summary. That just kind of gives you an overview of what it found, which I think could be pretty helpful, but it's very limited as well. And it also has the little warning here. And then you can actually look at the actual papers that it pulled, and here is where it will point out if something is highly cited, if it knows what kind of study it was, that could really affect what you're looking for. So that could be helpful. And for these, if you actually click the article, it will take you to the record for it, where you can link out either to the publisher's full text or the Semantic Scholar record for it. And they'll pull up like a key takeaway. You can generate a snapshot with your free credits if you want to. So there's some other features that are more often paid in here, but it does do some interesting things to take a look at. You can filter your results if you want to make sure you're just getting newer papers, just specific methodologies and things like that. And they just recently added, I think very recently, a more generative feature, the Copilot, which I haven't played around with too much, but that might be interesting to look at as well. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing consensus, and I think Sam is going to share the next one.
Yeah. Sorry about the back and forth. All right, so this is Scite. I've actually already logged in. So this is the login page. And what's, I guess, the best way to demo this is underneath product, the drop down. These are the major features that Scite has to offer. And it's quite a lot, actually. So don't worry if you can't figure it all out in one day, because there's a lot going on. But first, I want to demo the assistant. So this is, I guess they marketed the Chat GPT for sciences, really. And so if I were to type in a question, I'm going to type in, what was I going to type in? Summarize extreme weather patterns in the last 5 years. And so what it's actually trying to do, it's going to generate a short literature review for me. Obviously, we don't encourage people to copy and paste this, but you can read over it. And then once it finishes generating, to the right are going to be some references here. And if I hover over the reference in the smart citation, it will take you to the entire full text if we have it. And then if you scroll down, this is really helpful. View searches run to ground this response. So you can go and look at the searches that Scite or Assistant by Scite had used. So you probably take those searches and use them in another database. Then also view publications consulted is really helpful as well. I'm not going to talk about the report right now. We'll talk about that when we go do a search. So again, that was assistant by Scite. So it's like ChatGPT. Now we're going to go look at the search function. And so I'm going to put in some search terms. So I'm just going to do smoking and cancer. And so what it has generated now, these are the smart citations that I'm highlighting, right? And these are the smart citations, and these here are the indicators mentioning, there's mentioning, supporting, and contradicting. And so this here, the confidence is the confidence meter that the model has chosen. And it basically the level of confidence that they have that this article is being mentioned. And again, here is the Scite report down here. So this is the number of publications. This is the supporting citation statements. This is the mentioning, and this is the contrasting. You can view the full text, add it to dashboards, and then because we have a subscription, we can link out to the full text at Coastal Carolina. Again, back at the products. So we've gone through assistant search. You can create custom dashboards. There's a reference check. So you can upload your own manuscript or other manuscripts, and then Scite will also do the mentioning, contrasting, and contradicting, or sorry, supporting indicators on the manuscript that you upload. There's also browser extensions for Firefox and Chrome. So if you are on a website that you're looking at a journal article, this Scite report will also pop up, and you'll be able to see the metrics there. There's also Zotero plugins. So if you want to import your Zotero journal articles to Scite, you can do that as well. Allison, did you want to mention anything about the browser extension? You have some more experience with that.
You can accidentally teach it if you forget that you have it installed and you're teaching students about Google Scholar or PubMed, because it will follow you around the internet. So it was an interesting way to introduce students to it. But yeah, if you don't want it, you have to remember to turn it off.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing Scite and we'll go back to our presentation.
I think I have the next slide ready, so let me just share that.
All right, so what is this slide about? So last May, when Allison and I first started talking about research assistant AIs, and the previous November when ChatGPT was launched, Allison said to me, she came to me and she said, I bet like these larger publishing companies are going to come out with features of their own incorporating the AI. And I said, no way, that's not going to happen. Lo and behold, August 2023, Elsevier had a press release saying that they were coming out with Scopus AI. And then a couple months later, JSTOR came out with their version. Allison, did you have anything to add about those two?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think we were the most excited to see the JSTOR version because before that, we hadn't been able to find anything that covered the humanities really, really well. So we're really excited that JSTOR is going to use their data set and try to do some AI applications with it. We've looked at the beta tests, and I think if you go to their website, you can sign up and hopefully look at it as well. They have like two different features right now. One is just application that helps you read the PDFs that are in there. So you can ask questions about what you're reading as you look at it, which is pretty interesting. And then the other is going to be applied to their search algorithm. So also interesting, but very different.
So we have about 6 minutes left. There are 3 questions, Allison. Do they have adequate humanities resources? The next question is, what are the potential concerns librarians teach these tools? And can you give us details about your university subscription, like how much it is annually? Is the library paying for it, or is it another organization?
Mhm. Those
So
are all good questions. Oh, go ahead, please.
yeah, I was just gonna say the subscription one, I'm not privy to that information. Our collections committee would probably know that for sure. What are the potential concerns librarians teaching these tools? We've talked about it, and what we want to, how we want to address it to the students is, you know what, it's a good tool. These AI tools are good for efficiency. Obviously, you don't want to be copying and pasting all of this information. You still have to do your due diligence and your homework, and read into the the smart citations, read into those short literature reviews, just to make sure that the information is reliable.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like some of the things that we've tried is just like pointing out examples of where it doesn't work really well, just so they know, like, don't go in assuming that these literature reviews it's generating for you are correct, because sometimes they're not correct. So you still really do need to use them as a starting point, but research it more and verify.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't know how much our subscription costs.
Mhm.
Um, so
I
we
think
can,
you have to give everyone a few minutes to get to another session. So we'll close it out there. But thank you so much. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to Allison and I. We'd
mhm. Yes, thank you for coming to our session. Do you think that we should stop the recording?